Just to say it with me. I don't want to make this video. I don't want to make it. So, for 2 years, 2 seasons now, the Lobe Films track weapon cam has been doing great. The car makes a ton of power. It's been awesome on track. I have all the torques all the time whenever I want it. But I think the engine's blown up, or I have a bad ringland because there's just smoke that comes out of the valve cover when I take the oil cap off, and it's a lot. And I've used catch cans, big ass ones, and try to do that as a band-aid, and none of it has worked. And so now it used to only smoke after I really drove it hard. Now it smokes all the time. So we got no choice. We're gonna have to take the engine out. I have a spare one to put in. And if I go back 4 years to my very first season with this car, I could tell you the exact moment that I probably just started to cook the ringlands. I stayed out on track far longer than I should have. My oil temps got to 290, and then I packed it in. And at that point, I upgraded my radiator, so my coolant temps and oil temps never got that high again, but I think the damage was already kind of done there. And, 4 years later, it's progressively gotten worse to the point where, you know what, it's winter time, we're not racing, we're not doing much, let's just pull it out. So, we're gonna go ahead and do that. We're gonna swap the heads that I have on the car, as well as the track weapon cam, into the other engine that I have, which is an LS1 that has 50,000 less miles than this. So that's what we're gonna work on in these next couple episodes. But before we start, I want you guys just to say it with me. A couple things that I'm gonna point out now before we really get into start tearing the whole thing apart. There is more than one way to skin a cat. And I know everybody's gonna say, Ken, you have a lift, why not just drop everything out from behind and underneath the subframe? That is a way to do it. But I'm not going to do it that way for the main reason of, if I do that, then the Corvette's going to be stuck on a lift, and there really won't be anywhere for me to like, if I have to put something else on the lift, I'm kind of screwed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually pull the engine out from the front. I think that's going to be the best way to do it. So the main thing that makes it easier to do, taking the engine out from the front, if you remove the heads, is the access to the bell housing bolts are a lot easier to get to. I mean, you just ratchet wrench in. You should be able to get that one. I already got this one out. But after removing the heads, I didn't really find anywhere that I thought that looked like the ringlands were shot. I don't know. I mean, this side, I'll show you in a sec. I mean, like over here, like, I don't know, all kind of looks the same. On this side, all kind of generally looks the same. So, not quite sure. Either way, she's coming out.
All right, so I don't have a video of it actually coming out permanently. I turned the camera off, but it wasn't coming out here because it was hitting the subframe with the batwing oil pan. So once I dropped the subframe, it actually came out pretty easily.
Okay, so I didn't have a ton of video from taking this engine out. There's a ton of videos on YouTube about that. Also, problem was I was covered in oil and everything. I really couldn't touch that camera there. And there was a lot of swear words involved. So none of that made the cut to the video. So we have the engine out. This is the old engine. We're gonna tear down what we need to and take the stuff off of that and put it on this. Now this has a truck intake and a truck oil pan. It is not an actual truck engine though. This is an actual LS1 out of my buddy Ricky's 2002 Corvette that we're gonna use the short block from this to put all of the goodies that we had on this engine on. We're also gonna do some upgrades with the clutch and some other stuff in between. So stay tuned, because when we're gonna do this swap out, really goes to show the main reason why LS engines are great, because things are all interchangeable and they're easy to replace and not super expensive. If this was a BMW engine that I blew up, I'd probably be crying a lot right now. But this engine here was really cheap, and if you consider what it all comes down to replace stuff. So let's get cracking to it. We're gonna start off by taking this oil pan off and putting the truck oil pan on this so we can just store it somewhere. All right, so we got the Batwing oil pan off, windage tray, pickup tube. Everything looks like it's actually, I mean, everything looks okay. So I don't really see a whole ton of damage on it. Then I swapped out the truck oil pan, put it on that. Next, we're gonna take the clutch off, everything off of this, take the balancer off of that, the motor mounts, and we'll get started on swapping parts. I don't remember doing that. I don't remember doing that. Well, that's where some of the oil leak was coming from.
All right, so I'll stop the video there because I had to go do some research to actually see if your crank bolt not being connected or torqued down properly or just finger tight would cause the front to leak. I don't know. You guys can tell me in the comments. But either way, this engine had to come out anyway because I cracked the block in a different spot putting the heads on it when I did it a couple years ago, and it had a slight coolant leak. So it's not like I didn't need to do this. I definitely needed to. There's definitely a blown ringland in there somewhere. But we'll continue in the next video. Make sure to hit the subscribe button. And if you can't wait until next week's video, check out these videos that I already have ready to go.